Good morning. Today we will discuss English language mains related questions. Directions 1 to 3. You are required to match the statements from column 1 and 2 and find which of the following pairs of the statement make the sense meaningfully and grammatically. So here we are given with two columns, column 1 and column 2. See, the sentence in the column 1 should match with sentence in column 2 to make a meaningful sentence, and it should be grammatically also correct. Now, which is the correct option? Let us see the first one. Gross domestic product for 2020-21 shrank. Shrank means decrease. Shrank means decrease by 7.3% to 135.12 lakh crores. Here GDP is decreased. GDP is decreased. Then, as preparations are made for the G7 summit in the UK, then empathize. Empathize means understand. Understand with the other people anxiety. Now, these are the three sentences, column 1. In column 2, top of the agenda is what to end the COVID-19 pandemic and secure the global recovery. India's first annual economic increment was forecast, but it was not as dire. Dire means serious, as initially expected. But don't make it a daily habit. Now we have to match the sentences and it should be grammatically correct. Now if you see the sentences, gross domestic product for 2020-21 shrank means decrease by 7.3 to 135.12 lakh crores. That can be matched with E, but this is not correct. Why? Because so India's first annual economic increment, if the GDP is decreased, economy also should decrease, but here it is given economic increment. Even though the sentences are related, here the word should be decrement, not increment. Increment means increase, so here it should be decrease. So this one is grammatically not correct. So A and E is not correct. Now, as preparations are made for the G7 summit in UK, top of the agenda. So what is the agenda of the summit? The top of the agenda is what to end is not correct. It should be how to end. How to put an end to COVID-19 pandemic. So what to end is grammatically incorrect. It should be how to end. So here instead of increment it should be decrease, which is correct. Here what to end is not how to end is correct. So therefore B and D is not correct. Empathize with others people's anxiety, but don't make it a daily habit. If you see C and F, the sentence is correct. Empathize means understand other people's anxiety. Try to understand other people's anxiety, but don't make it a daily habit. So here the sentence is grammatically correct. C and F is correct. Next one. In the courts of law, there is the doctrine of necessary and proper parties. The ball is in center's court with a decision on conducting CBSE Class 12 examination. The information technology rules which were notified on February 25, 2021. Next, column 2. Bring in additional compliance for social media. So here compliance. Additional compliance means additional agreement for social media companies with more than 5 million users, keenly awaited following deliberations with state government. Deliberations means considerations. Deliberations means considerations with the state government, without whose presence a case cannot have be properly decided. Now let us see which is correct. Which is appropriately correct. In the court of law, there is a doctrine of necessary and proper parties, without whose is not correct. Whenever you are talking about any particular person, we should use whose. You are talking about necessary documents, so we should use those. So AF is grammatically not correct. In the court of law, there is a doctrine of necessary and proper parties. Without those, not whose, without those presence, a case cannot be properly decided. Here we are talking about court of law, here case. So A and F is correctly matched, but grammatically it is not correct. Then, the ball is in the center's court with a decision on conducting CBSE class 12 examinations keenly awaited following deliberations with state governments. So the ball is in the center's court. That means the judgment is in the court now. The court has to take the decision on conducting CBSE class 12 examination, but they are keenly waited following deliberations with state governments. After taking the considerations and views of the state governments, the court will take the decision. So B and E correctly matched. B and E is correctly matched. The information technology rules which were notified on February 25, 2021 bring in additional compliance for social media companies with more than 5 million users. So C and D is also appropriately correct. So both B and D and C and D. Next one. Given the likelihood you are a WhatsApp user, you may have seen a conspicuous notice. You may have seen a conspicuous notice. Conspicuous means clearly visible. Conspicuous means clearly visible. Given the likelihood you are a WhatsApp user, you have seen a clearly visible notice. Students have struggled in pre-pandemic times with preferred colleges making late admission decisions. Pre-pandemic means before pandemic times. Last year's economic stress exposed. Now, if you see these things, which are correct. Now, let us see the first one. That is, students have struggled. Given the likelihood you are a WhatsApp user. Given the likelihood you are a WhatsApp user, you may have seen a conspicuous notice. What is that notice? When you open it, your messages are protected by end-to-end encryption. So whenever you are opening a WhatsApp, you can see this message. Your messages are protected by end-to-end encryption. So this is definitely correct. This is definitely correct. Next one. Students have struggled. Students have struggled in pre-pandemic times. So students have struggled with pre-pandemic times with a preferred college, with preferred colleges making late admission, with the preferred colleges making a late admission. So here students have struggled in the pre-pandemic times with preferred colleges making late admission, forcing them to take the superior options. So here the word superior must be replaced by inferior. Why? Because then only the sentence will be correct. Students have struggled in pre-pandemic times with preferred colleges making late admission. So students preferred some colleges, but they are making late admission. So in order to take quick admission, students have opted instead of superior college, they went for some inferior colleges. Because preferred colleges are doing late, that's why in order to take the early admission, the students are forced to take the inferior option. So here superior should be replaced by inferior. So A and D is correct grammatically, but B and E definitely wrong. Next, last year's economic stress exposed fault lines in the exist is not correct. So here it should be existing GST framework. Here you should not use exist, it should be existing. So here we have to use here wrong usage. Adjective exist is the wrong usage. We should use ing form. We should use ing form before the noun. GST is a noun. Before the noun we should use adjective plus ing form. So existing is correct. Last year's economic stress exposed fault lines in the existing GST framework. So C and F is also not correct. Here we should use existing. Here we should use inferior. So only A and D is definitely correct. Now let us see the next question. Question number 4 to 7. In the following questions, there are 4 sentences given, one of which may have the error. Identify the sentence with the error and mark your answer accordingly. So here we are having some 4 sentences, out of which one or more of which have some error. Identify the sentence with error and then mark your option. Language extinction is a tragic phenomena that has been occurring worldwide as languages spoken by precious few people are replaced by larger one. Language extinction, that means now language is no longer used. So that is nothing but language extinction. It is a tragic phenomena that has been occurring worldwide as languages spoken by precious few people are replaced by larger ones. So here few people replaced by larger ones is definitely correct. Then this is grammatically correct. Extinction of language is a tragic phenomena that has been occurring globally. Instead of using worldwide, here we are using globally, correct. As languages spoken by precious few people are replaced by larger one. So sentence A and B, they don't have any difference, and this is also correct. Only thing, instead of using worldwide, here they are used globally. Third one, language extinction. Instead of using extinction of language, here we are using language extinction. Is a tragic phenomena that has been occurring worldwide. Again we are using worldwide as languages spoken by larger number of people are replaced by the one spoken by precious few people. This is also correct. See the fourth one, extinction of language. Again extinction of language is a tragic phenomena that has been occurring globally as larger languages are replacing the one spoken by precious few people. So here we should never use larger language or small language. So we can't categorize where it is a large language or smaller language. Only thing we can categorize few people, more people, or small community, larger community. So languages can never be taken as larger language or smaller language. It is not correct. It is not appropriate. We should never use larger language and smaller language. Larger and smaller are used to define the group of the people. So you can use smaller community, larger community. Few people, more people. So here this one is grammatically mistake. So D is the only mistake we are having in this particular sentence. Let us see the next one. Question number 5. While lot of us might believe there is no extraterrestrial life out there, no one can prove else. So while lot of us might believe that there is no extraterrestrial life out there, no one can prove else is not correct. It should be no one can prove otherwise. No one can prove otherwise. So here what is the difference between otherwise and shelf? So what is meant by otherwise and what is meant by shelf? Otherwise means other than supposed. Otherwise means other than supposed. That means something should happen, but instead of that one, other thing has happened. So what you thought that has not happened, what you didn't think that has happened, that is nothing but otherwise. What do you mean by else? Else is nothing but other. So who can do the work? You, else, other. So else means other. Else means other. Otherwise means other than suppose. So otherwise is correct, else is not correct. Then, although a lot of us might believe there is no extraterrestrial life out there, no one can prove to be otherwise. Again here we should not use be. We should use be in passive voice. This is active voice. So don't use be. No one can prove otherwise is correct. No one can prove otherwise. So to be is not correct. Why? Because the sentence is not in passive voice. While lot of us might believe that there is, so this is also grammatically incorrect, this is also grammatically incorrect. While lot of us might believe that there is no extraterrestrial life out there, no one can be proved otherwise. No one can be proved otherwise. Here also, see here, no one can be proved is not correct. No one can be proved is not correct. No one can prove is correct. So this is the simple present. The sentence is in simple present, so you should use present tense. No one can prove. Be proved is incorrect. No one can prove otherwise. Although a lot of us might believe that there is no extraterrestrial life without there, no one can prove one else. See, the first part of the sentence is in simple present. Second part, proven is past. Proven is nothing but past tense, hence it is wrong. Here what we can do, we can write prove. No one prove else. No one prove else is not correct. No one can prove otherwise is correct. No one can prove otherwise. So here, while although a lot of us might believe that there is no extraterrestrial life out there, no one can prove else is not correct. We should use again otherwise. So all the sentences have the error in this particular question. Now let us see number 6. King Henry ruled England for almost 4 decades, but his love life, other than his reforms, made politicals, other than his politics or religious reform that made his name. So here King Henry VIII ruled England for almost 4 decades, but it's his love life rather than his politics or religious reform that made his name. So here we should not use other than, we should use rather than. Other than means apart. Other than means apart or beside. So rather than means something less preferred. So when you are giving less preference to someone, I prefer tea rather than coffee. I prefer tea rather than coffee means instead of coffee I am preferring tea. That means I am giving more importance to tea instead of coffee. So when you less prefer something, we should use rather. So here we are less preferring about this one. King Henry VIII ruled England for almost all 4 decades, but it is his love life rather than his politics. So why King Henry is being praised by all of the people? Because of his love life, not because of his politics or religious reforms. So here we are comparing his love life with politics and religious reform. So this is having more preference, this is having less preference. So we should use rather. Next one, King Henry ruled England for nearly 4 decades, but it is his love life rather than his politics or religion reform that made his name. This is grammatically correct. This is not correct. King Henry VIII ruled England for about 4 decades, but it is his love life rather than his politics or religious that made his name. This is also correct. So nearly 4 decades, about 4 decades, both are correct. These two are grammatically correct. King Henry VIII ruled England for more or less 4 decades, but it is his love life than his politics or religious reform. So here again we should not use than, we should use rather than. The same error, rather than should be used. So here which word is missing? Rather. So A and D are having the errors. Both A and D are having the errors. B and C are correct. We should identify which is having the error. Next question. In the Himalaya, you get large bodies of melting water. In the Himalaya, you get large bodies of melting water forming in the front of glaciers that can on occasions burst out to cause a flash flood. So in the Himalaya you get large bodies of melting water is not correct. We should use melt water. It is not melting water, it is melt water. So in the Himalaya you get large bodies of melt water, not melting water, forming in front of glaciers that can on occasions burst out to cause a flood. So this is grammatically incorrect. Next, in the Himalaya you get large bodies of melting water. Again this is also not correct. See, same error. We should use melt water, not melting water. Formation in front of glaciers that can on occasions burst out to cause a flood. So this is also grammatically incorrect. Now let us take the third one. The third one, in the Himalaya you get large bodies of melt water. This is grammatically correct. Forming in front of glaciers that can on occasions burst out to cause a flood. Now, in the Himalaya, see the last one, in the Himalaya you get large bodies of melt water forming in the front glaciers that can be on occasions burst out to cause a flash flood. So here if you see the fourth sentence, in the Himalaya you get large bodies of melt water forming in front of glaciers that can be on occasions burst out to cause a flash flood. So here the sentence tries to implies that large bodies of water can be made because of large bodies of melt water we are getting the flood. Because of large bodies of melt water we are getting flood. So because of this action the flood is happening, but this is not correct. Either the melt water or the flash flood both are happening by nature, not because of melt water we are getting flash flood. Either melt water or flash flood both we are getting by nature itself. So this is grammatically incorrect, contextually incorrect, not grammatically incorrect, it is contextually not correct. Why? Because either melt water or flash flood both are the result of the nature, but here what the sentence is conveying, because of the melt water the flood is coming, so which is definitely not correct. So here the error is A, B and D. Let us take the next one. Select the phrase or connector in between 1 and 2 from the given 3 options which can be used to form a single sentence from the 2 sentences given below without changing the meaning of the sentence. The High Court judge was reluctant means not willing. To change his decision of giving death penalty to the prisoner until, although, otherwise. So which is correct? Until means up to, it is not correct. Although means in spite of, Otherwise, already I told, otherwise means in different circumstances. So here which word is correct? The High Court judge was reluctant to change his decision of giving death penalty to the prisoner although his family members have asked him to provide them 2 days to prove his innocence. Even though the family members have asked judge the permission, the judge didn't give the permission and he has not made to change his decision of giving death penalty to the prisoner. So what is the appropriate word? Although. Let us see the next one. The accused was in the convoy of cars that was keen to disrupt the farmers' protest. The protest was about the controversial farm laws introduced by the government which could have established the monopoly of the private companies. So here which is correct? The accused was in the convoy of cars that was keen to disrupt the farmers' protest. So whenever you are using the word protest means one agitation. So protest is always followed by the word against. Protest, against. So you should use the correct word against. The accused was in the convoy of cars that was keen to disrupt the farmers' protest about, see after this one, this should be correct, about the controversial farm laws introduced by the government which could have established the monopoly of private companies. So this is appropriate sentence. If you combine both, the accused was in the convoy of cars that was keen to disrupt the farmers' protest against the controversial farm laws introduced by the government which could have established the monopoly of private companies. So we should use correct word against. Also and certainly are inappropriate in this context. Let us see the next question, that is the 10th question. The prices of onions and tomatoes are increasing day by day, and last week they were at culmination. Subsequently means one event happening after other event. So here prices increasing is one event, then this is another event. So whenever two events are happening side by side, we should use subsequently. The prices of onions and tomatoes are increasing day by day, and last week they were at culmination. Subsequently, the demand of these essential items is falling down. Then subsequently is correct. Or the price of onion and tomato are increasing day by day, and last week they were at culmination. Hence, the demand for both of these essential items is falling down. If the prices are at a very high level, which we can't offer, automatically the demand will be less. So here we should use hence. Then the prices of onions and tomatoes are increasing day by day, and last week they were at culmination. Therefore, hence, therefore they don't have any difference in the meaning. Therefore, the demand for both of these items is falling down. So here you can replace, here you can connect the both sentences by all three words. Subsequently is correct, hence is correct, therefore is also correct. So all 1, 2, 3 are correct. Okay, tomorrow we will discuss the reasoning class.